What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we are back with career mode, episode number 49 for the trying to stall so I can think of what race we're actually doing today. We are doing the Dutch Grand Prix. There we go. Check out the previous episode if you haven't already. It was uploaded a lifetime ago, the Chinese Grand Prix. Had some tangles with Lewis Hamilton, but in the end we had a very good race. Go check it out if you haven't seen it already. But yeah, apologies about the lengthy break between episodes. I've been filming for a TV series, basically. The V10 R League is what it's called. It's an esports competition. I was a commentator there for that series with Nicholas Hamilton, and we wrapped up filming yesterday. So that has been taking up a lot of my time lately, and yeah, it was too good of an opportunity to pass up. Never in my life thought I'd be on TV, but there we go. So that is the reason why I've been away from YouTube a little bit, why there's been gaps in uploads, and career mode just takes the longest time to make. So apologies about that, but I am now back, and we can focus on this episode of career mode. This is Dutch Grand Prix. We're going to do an ultimate tire upgrade, and that'll go on in time for the Spanish Grand Prix, 7th of May, so we should look forward to some really good performance after that race. Fast forwarding time, letting the activities flow in. We got a press interview with Will Buxton. We've seen enough of those. We know what the deal is there, and we're just going to fast forward onto the Dutch Grand Prix. All the benefits come in, and we are ready to start the weekend proper. $9.17 million, and I'm actually saving that up for a facility upgrade for the engine side. Now there's some engine upgrades I want to do, some ultimate upgrades which are being blocked by the fact that I only have spec 2, so I want to do some power upgrades, and I can't do that until I upgrade the facilities a little bit more. So for the time being, that's why I went with tire wear upgrades. And yeah, we'll hopefully target that for the midway point of the season once all that eventually stems through and we can work on ultimate power upgrades. Anyway, time for quali. It's going to be a wet one, so hopefully we've brought our brollies. Here we are then for qualifying for the Dutch Grand Prix, and we are ready to take the fight to Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton, Mercedes, etc. Anyone who wants to go up and challenge us, we are ready to fight here in Zandvoort after our last win. Got a yellow flag in the third sector there, not sure what that was about. I think one of the Ferraris going slowly, but as you can tell, heavy rain, fully wet conditions, and it was a real nightmare out there trying to lay down the power, especially in the first sector where the track was so undulating. It just made for a bit of a nightmare because you've always got a bit of steering lock wound on while you try to put the power down, and it was just a nightmare. As you can see here, big boy mistake on our second lap, trying to push the limits that little bit more, and in the end Zandvoort bit back at us, and we conceived a little bit of damage actually with the clouting of the wall on the right hand side end plate, which will need to be fixed for the back end of this session. 90 seconds worth of repairs. Currently sitting in the top 10 just about. Sebastian Vettel hadn't put it in a time up until that point, but while we get back to the track now, it's gone to light rain conditions, so we'll see if we can improve at the back end of this session. A lot of drivers actually haven't opted to go out there on a set of intermediate tires, and this is actually going to really help us get through to the next session, as if we didn't need that already. We already have the best car, but this should hopefully solidify us getting through to the second part of qualifying here. But this Dutch Grand Prix, a little bit sketchy through the final corner. It always is there in the rain, and I don't like it, because your entire weekend can come unstuck, and it usually does. Thankfully, we timed our run well enough to the point where we're able to get 2 laps in. We went pole, we've gone again, and we're going to strengthen our position in pole position at the end of Q1. 7/10 clear of Max Verstappen, Valtteri Bottas third, and Vettel in fourth. A lot of people on wets, and so that is why we're slightly elevated relative to those around us. The 2 Alfa Romeos got out of Q1, but they were nowhere in Q2, as was I. The track was really dry towards the end of Q2, but it was still intermediate conditions, and I think I didn't put in my best time at the end there. But we move into Q3 now, and it is actually dry, but the track has only just gone to dry conditions, like the DRS, for example, would have only just got disabled, and so the track is nowhere near its best. There's still, I don't know, it's not even puddles on the offline parts of the circuit, but the track is just very low grip at this stage, very slippery, quite damp, and it's going to take a bit of time for this to ramp up fully. But we're going to set a time regardless. We do go provisional pole for the time being. We were the last to cross the line there to set a lap out of everyone. We get to the end of the session. Well, 5 minutes to go. We're going to fast forward time a little bit more and wait for the track to rubber in even more. No one has actually gone out there and set another time ever since my banker lap, so that's why we're still in pole position and actually a long way off where we're supposed to be. I think you can be in the 8 or 7, so like we're 5 seconds off what a good time is around here in the dry. So let's not get complacent. We do need to put in this final lap here in Q3 to secure pole position for this Dutch Grand Prix. So here we go, 1.7 seconds up as we go through the middle sector. There is a competitive time from Alexander Albon, 107.4. Then that gets beaten by literally everyone. Daniel Ricciardo, provisional pole on a 7 flat. We could go into the 6s here, and we do so with Lewis Hamilton at 1 minute 6.8. Vettel goes even faster, 6.5. And that is, 6 seconds better than what I managed in my first stint. So we need to have a delta of minus 6 seconds here in order to get pole position. That is everyone across the line now. And now it's just down to me now to see if I can challenge the top guys here in Formula 1. We've been so fast in all the qualifying sessions up until this point. Can it translate into full dry running across the line? The gap is only 4.8 seconds, so that is nowhere near the delta required to get pole position. It's only 9th place. Only 9th place. 1 second away from our teammate, Sebastian Vettel. That's disappointing. That is really disappointing. Fast in practice, fast in qualifying 1 and 2, and the start of Q3. I feel like Valtteri Bottas right now. I'm starting on the 5th row of the grid. Unbelievable scenes here, Jeff. And Valtteri himself, speaking of, P6. Not a good effort from him. He'll want to do better. So it is going to be a tough ask now, heading into the race of the Dutch Grand Prix, a track where it is very difficult to overtake, dirty air aplenty. We are going to have our work cut out for us here. So let's see if we can challenge from P9.
Welcome along then to the North Sea coast and Zandvoort, 25 miles away from Amsterdam, and the host for today's Dutch Grand Prix. It's a race the great Jim Clark won on 4 occasions, leading for an astonishing total of 370 laps. Alongside me to discuss all the action today is Anthony Davidson. Thanks for joining us, Ant. And tell me, you were down in the pit lane earlier. How do you think the track conditions are today?
Well, the surface looks clean enough, but I'm a little bit worried about the track temperature. It's pretty cool out there, which could give some teams difficulties when it comes to keeping their tyres in the right operating window. The cars out there that work their tyres hard and really put a lot of energy through them, they'll be the ones that are better off.
Now that we've got some points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish.
Jeff back at it once again with the ultra-realistic expectations from the team. But here we are on the grid. We are ready for this race, and I am going to mix up the strategy. We're going to go on mediums for the rest of this race, well, starting this race. And that'll give me options in the midway part. I could go softs towards the end, or I could, I don't know, go longer on the mediums and overcut people who are on softs. Either way, I think going mediums is a better strategy than softs because they could overheat at the start. 5 red lights, and we are underway for the Dutch Grand Prix, and as bloody always, terrible start. There goes Sergio Perez up the inside. He was on softs, to be fair, so that was to be expected. Around the outside we go of one of the McLarens. That is Lando Norris who gets displaced, and we move up into P8. So good start from us there. Bit of contact with Kvyat as we tried to squeeze around the outside of him, or more or less he was doing that to us, and we just about nipped past. And now we're putting pressure on Valtteri Bottas, who is absolutely nowhere in that Mercedes, getting displaced by Ricciardo, Albon, Leclerc, a lot of fast drivers in maybe less fast cars as we get up the inside of him. Very forceful there into the right-hander, and now a bit of a missed opportunity there as I missed the apex, and Bottas gets us straight back. So unfortunate. I was actually checking. Actually, hang on a second. We go back up the inside of Bottas. Can we get the move done this time? He's pinched on the inside. More flowing run for us around the outside. And more crucially, we have the inside for the penultimate corner. And we take P7 in this Dutch Grand Prix. Great start considering it is mightily tough to overtake around this place. But the reason why I initially gave up the spot to Bottas is I was checking my front wing for any damage. There was a bit of rubbing, but thankfully it's fine. You can never be too safe on simulation damage, which is exactly what we are running on. We're kind of fearless, despite us running with sim damage. You can predict where the AI are going to go most of the time, and so that allows me to be a little bit ballsy in this series, I guess, compared to maybe other career mode YouTubers who don't run sim damage. But anyway, we go around the outside. That is not a dig at anyone, by the way. But I don't think anyone else runs sim damage. I just run sim damage because I hope that like it causes the AI to crash more and bring out safety cars. As you can tell, it doesn't work because I haven't had a safety car in donkey's years. So that's a very sad fact for you all there as we press on here in lap 5. The dirty air of Ricciardo sending us into the gravel momentarily, but we're able to scoop the car back up and get going again. You can see the left front tyre is absolutely crying for mercy, and we're only 5 laps into this stint. Here comes Bottas on the attack here into the third sector, looking for a move up the inside, not quite going to force that, and he is stuck now in P8 in this Dutch Grand Prix. Still, we continue to march on to put pressure on Daniel Ricciardo, but the front left tyre is having none of it. This is the medium, which is meant to be a more versatile race tyre. Could you imagine how we'd be faring right now if we were on softs? We'd be absolutely we'd be last place right now if we were on softs probably. As you can see, we're running deep, and this is just getting a bit messy now. We need to clean this up and maybe change our approach through that middle sector. I think maybe I'm turning in too late. You know those really fast right-handers? I think I'm just putting a bit too much load on the front left. If I smooth that out and carry less speed than what I'd like to, then we might be able to look after this front left tyre a little bit better. It's a shame, but that's the way it goes with, I don't know, the upgraded career mode car. We just have to drive differently because otherwise it's just killing us. You can see again, just missing the apex. Maybe I just need to turn in slightly earlier and a bit smoother, less steering angle, and then hopefully that'll work out for us. One thing which will work for our favor is the car will get lighter as the race goes on, meaning less energy goes through the car and the tires, and so that should make life a little bit easier. Life is not easy for Mick Schumacher right now, who is just retired from the Grand Prix with an engine failure. But this corner right here, turn in a little bit less, but this one in particular here, I need to turn in earlier, hit that apex better, so I'm not putting too much slip angle into the front tires. Yeah, that could definitely be managed a little bit better from me, and it was something I was a lot worse at the start of the race. But I will endeavour to be smoother with the steering. Just these small little incremental elements, which will hopefully make a difference. Just staying away from the 105-degree cutoff point will mean that our lap times are a lot better. And we are getting better as the race goes on. Our tyre wear is, I'd say, better than the Renault, and Albon is on the soft compound tyre, so our tyre wear is definitely better than his. It's just thermal degradation. That is a problem for us at this stage. We're right under the rear wing of Daniel Ricciardo, checking the temperatures, and actually, despite the dirty air, wasn't overheating the front left tyre that time. So that is possibly a bit of a breakthrough for us now as we are starting to take less speed through that very fast right-hander, the two of them, and that's starting to really help our lap time now. Albon pitted on the last lap, which has released myself and Ricciardo. We may consider pitting in on this lap, but I'm actually going to overtake Ricciardo here. because now he doesn't have DRS for the first time, and I can have a true go at him as we go around the outside into turn 1. I've maybe gone in a little bit too deep under brakes, and asked too much of the rear tyres, and you can see I'm quite clearly frustrated at that, because that was our one chance in this Grand Prix to get in front of Ricciardo and also maintain track position over Alexander Albon, because if I would have got in front of Ricciardo on this lap, I could have boxed and maybe stayed out in front of Albon. That chance is now gone. So, it's back to the drawing board once again. And we might need to rethink our strategy now going forward for the rest of this race. We might need to stay out long and maybe overtake some of our rivals on much fresher tyres in order to be a factor in this race. Here we go for take 2 on Daniel Ricciardo. Pit window is now open. We go up the inside, and again, gone in too deep, and Ricciardo's got through again. I told you it was hard to overtake here. You've literally got to use up all of your overtake battery and run it in rich, get a perfect run out of the final corner, and then you might be half a chance of overtaking under brakes into turn 1. But it looks like a mistake from Ricciardo there, a lock up at the high-speed right-hander, and that has allowed us to get through now for P5 in this race. Very unorthodox mistake there. You don't really lock up at high-speed corners, but Daniel Ricciardo has done just that. Left the door open, and we take it. Some track air, some free air, some track position in this race now, as everyone on medium compound tyres makes their stop. Now, I am going to do something very different here. Something which you don't really get away with in real life. Something you don't get away with in the game, but it's something you can do in real life. And that is stay out long and look after your tyres, and sometimes you can do the overcut in real life. It's a lot more common in real life than what it is in the game, but because our competitors are switching onto hard compound tyres, they're a slower compound, and it's a bit of a warm-up phase, a little bit. We're on mediums, which are faster naturally, and they're not overly worn out. The tyre deg is like, I don't know, a decent level here. I think I've got this plan that I can actually lap faster than people on new hard compound tyres. You can see the likes of Norris, Ricciardo, and Albon are in the 11s right now, and I am in the 10s, the mid-10s. So at this very moment, we are overcutting our nearest rivals on track relative to before the first stops. So at this very moment, we're actually pulling away from those guys, despite being on tyres that are 20 laps old. Don't ask me how this is happening, but it's working somehow. I've managed to drive the car in free air now. We do have a fast car, which is something which is definitely working to our advantage. Tyre wear is pretty good in this car, but it's working for us. Somehow, we are faster than people on fresh hard compound tyres, and we stayed out an extra 10 laps, 7-8 laps at least, and we were just chucking in those lap times, getting faster and faster as the stint wore on. This is my box lap here. We're still going faster. We've got to the point now where we can get to the end of the Grand Prix on soft compound tyres and rejoin ahead of the likes of Ricciardo, Albon, and Lando Norris. We could be on target to get like P5, P4 in this race. We could overtake Leclerc if we're lucky. So here we go, out onto the fast lane and out onto the racetrack once more. 11 laps to go. Soft compound tyres. We can go for a fastest lap. We have jumped all of the traffic, which we couldn't overtake when we were stuck behind them on the same tyres. Now, we've cleared them with the overcut. That is 200 IQ plays there. Let alone that's 1,000 IQ plays there. We've jumped them by 5 seconds. That is bloody amazing. So now, with 10 laps to go, the goal now is to chase down Charles Leclerc and maybe even Lewis Hamilton. We're going to be about 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds a lap faster than those on hards right now. At least for the initial lap or two. And then after that, the gap should be, I don't know, like 1.5 seconds faster for the rest of the race. So we could well and truly get a podium in this race, and it could well come out of nowhere by the fact that I decided to go on a slower strategy at the start of this race, going on the mediums as opposed to starting on softs. So here we go, purple to the first sector, heading into sector 2, 1.4 seconds up, and we are reeling in Leclerc like no man's business. This is going to be the fastest lap of the Grand Prix by an absolute mile. Just looking at the mini-map, Max Verstappen is only a couple seconds up the road from Lewis Hamilton as well. That might be a stretch, but across the line, 2 seconds faster than our previous personal best. 108.201, and we've caught Leclerc by at least 2 seconds this lap. So here we go, up into overtake, and well, we're balancing between standard and rich revs over the course of the lap. One thing that was crucial to note as well, when I was on my old medium compound tyres, I was pretty much lapping the same pace as Charles Leclerc as well on his hards. So that's how I knew I was possibly going to be in contention to beat this guy in this race. So yeah, life is looking dandy. We now get to a point here at the end of lap 28. We're in the slipstream, we're in the DRS, up into overtake now, and we're going to go to the outside here around turn 1, and we're going to learn the lessons from the Daniel Ricciardo moves and not go in too deep. Move is done. That's P4. Good 12 points added to our name in this Dutch Grand Prix. Here's the replay, and thankfully we didn't run into the back of Romain. That's not Grosjean, that is Nicholas Latifi there. Grosjean's retired from my career mode. But there you go. Move is done. Leclerc nearly had a go back at me into the left-hander, but we hold on, and here's another replay. Lap car made life a little bit difficult, but it is job done in the end there. This is going to be quite the recovery when you consider that we were stuck in like P7, P6. Yeah, I think P7 in this race. And if I would have just followed the leader and gone for an undercut maybe on, you know, Albon or Bottas or Ricciardo and gone onto hards really early, this would not be possible. This, I'm telling you now, this would not be possible at all. I would be stuck in that battle, and there'd be no chance of me getting a podium. But now, with 4 laps to go, we're cruising up onto the back of Lewis Hamilton, who's only half a second in front of me. He's catching up to Max Verstappen, who's got no pace at the back end of this race. So my mission now is to overtake Hamilton before he gets DRS on Verstappen, and this may well be my last chance to do so, because I think next lap Hamilton will be close enough to get DRS, and then we'll be stuck for the rest of the race maybe. So this needs to happen now. Up into overtake, rich fuel mixture is flowing, Hamilton going slightly defensive. We're going to go around the outside at turn 1 like we've been doing all day, and now we are on the podium in this Dutch Grand Prix. Quick weave of the wheel, minor celebration. We can't celebrate for too long. We need to get back on the job, because maybe we could get P2 in this race. Still 3 to go. I would like to get Verstappen early, because you never know what the tyre wear might be like for me at the back end of this race. If I can just get the track position on Verstappen and then run away, I might be able to keep this. Overtake. Rich to the inside this time, and we will get Verstappen under brakes into turn 1. All of the Dutch fans are absolutely raging in the grandstands. Well, if there was any. There was not supposed to be any. There's not supposed to be a Dutch Grand Prix this year. But thanks to the game, here we are. Nice little replay here up the inside of Verstappen. All the I guess the fouled overtakes on Ricciardo have been a valuable learning lesson, because we're able to execute a lot of the overtakes on you know, Hamilton, Leclerc and Verstappen and get it pinpoint accurate because of the reference points we learned, or the mistakes we learned from earlier on in the race. But meanwhile, you can see Hamilton and Verstappen fighting away. That is why I needed to get in front of Hamilton ASAP. I couldn't have arrived on the scene too late, because then I would have been stuck behind this, and I would have been in, what, P4 in this race. But now it's going to be a 1-2 for Marduk Motorsport. There goes Hamilton overtaking Max Verstappen. And if there wasn't any more Verstappen fans in the crowd, there definitely isn't now. They've all left the grandstands. They're in the car park. They're going home early, because Verstappen has been robbed here in Zandvoort. But anyway, this has been the recovery drive of my career. This has been one of the best drives I think I've ever put in, and it's P2.
Can't complain about that one. That was an excellent drive.
A difficult race then on a circuit that demands complete concentration, but they've persevered to take the win here today. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
I think a large part of the result comes down to temperament. They were able to keep their heads when everyone around them was losing theirs, and that's allowed them to get the best out of the car, to maximise the strategy, and to stay out of trouble.
The faces on our top three look so incredibly happy as they make their way up to the podium. A much-deserved victory and a brilliant performance from them all.
I'm a little disappointed that Vettel didn't do his Egyptian dance on the podium. It's now in the game, but a shame. Maybe Codemasters can put it in the future. But there we go. That has been this race here in Zandvoort. Congrats to my teammate Sebastian Vettel for winning yet another Grand Prix. That is his third of the season, and could be a return to form for Marduk Motorsport, especially on that side of the garage. But fastest up for us, P2 in this race, 19 points. When you consider that we were stuck in this race and we couldn't overtake the likes of Ricciardo and Albon on circuit at the early stage of this race, I will absolutely take that. Honestly, I alluded to this just as the race was ending, but this could be, I feel like this is one of the best drives, or one of the best comebacks I think I've done in career mode, maybe ever. That was phenomenal, because the strategy that we did was not possible pre-race. I think I skipped over it in editing, you didn't see it, but I did try to do a medium soft or a soft medium stint for this race. It was not possible according to Jeff on the projected or on the personalized race strategy. It was not a thing. So I switched to the mediums for the start of the race with the hope that I could use hards at some point. I could be a bit flexible with the mediums, and boy were we ever flexible with those things. We stretched them so far, and not only that, we were fast. We were faster than all those around us on fresher tires, faster than Leclerc with newer tires, and you know, we were pretty much holding pace pretty much with Hamilton and Verstappen, who are front runners in this field on new hard compound tires compared to us on 20-old mediums. And we haven't had our ultimate upgrade yet, which is the craziest thing. And then from there, we stretched it out, switched to softs, and you guys saw what happened. We made all those overtakes, and that was a very, very satisfying Grand Prix. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that race. If you did, make sure you leave a like. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content. One thing you might have noticed, or you probably noticed, my helmet wasn't fully HD, and neither were the driver suits for this race. Hopefully that'll be fixed for the next one. I have been having a lot of issues lately with just mods going wrong lately. Codemasters done a lot of updates to the game. They updated the game, I think, yesterday, and my mods weren't working, so I had to go back to Sevi, and he had to redo my mods, so that meant that career mode couldn't go out yesterday, because I couldn't start it. I didn't have a car livery, and then today, Codemasters did another patch, some kind of hotfix, and now it's screwed up with my helmet and my driver suits. So, yeah, I thought it would be better to just crack on with that and get the video out today, as opposed to waiting another day, which is the last thing I wanted to do. So that just explains that. Hopefully it'll be fixed for the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and yeah, let's roll on the rest of Season 3 of F1 2020 My Team Career Mode. What have we got next? Spain and then Monaco. Monaco, I want to win. I don't know what's happened the last 2 seasons of Career Mode. We've been very pacey there, but for whatever reason, it just hasn't come to us. This time around, it has to be us. And we know who we have to beat to get there. Mr. Sebastian Vettel, who is stupidly fast. Anyway, that's it from me today. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, I'll see you next time.